All right. So in this case, I want us to consider our typical exam revision as we are to prepare for our tests that are ahead. We are given, this is a typical exam question that we can see, which is a grade 9 test term 3 for the paper of 2019. So that was 2 hours paper. We're just going to see, guys, if we are to relate according to the information that you have in this term. We are going to work on those questions because remember, this is 2019. So some of the other things, one or two, have changed. So we shall see as we are moving on. So make sure that you do show all the calculations that you are given. So the first part of your question, it was number 1, where we are given 10 marks in this part, where you are given circle the letter next to the correct answer. All right, that is 1.1. What is the value of 2x squared plus 4x plus 3 if x is 2? You are given the value of x to be a 2. So meaning to say wherever you see x, you're going to put a 2. So this was going to be 2. In place of this x, we are going to substitute a 2, that's 2 squared, plus a 4 times a 2 in this case, plus a 3. In place of x, you put a 2. So 4x means 4 times 2. So guys, we know that 4 raised to the power, this 2 to the power of 2, that's a 4. Then you multiply by 2, which is going to give us 8. So that is 2 times 2, which is a 4. Then you multiply by 8. We just use your calculator at this stage. 4 times 2 here, that's 8, plus a 3. So if we add 8 plus 8, it was going to be 16 plus 3, which is 19. So meaning to say our answer was supposed to be A, or like I said, guys, it's 1 mark. Once you substitute this, use your calculator straightforward, you get a 19. So for K, in K squared is equal to 36. So if K squared is equal to 36, the question is, can we write this 36 as a number raised to the power of 2? Yes, it's possible. K to the power of 2, this 36 is same as 6 to the power of 2. So if we do understand from the concept that if the bases are the same, if these bases are the same, the exponents are the same, it also follows that the exponents, if they are the same, the bases are supposed to be the same. So if these exponents, the powers are the same, it is also supposed to give us that the bases here are supposed to be the same. So K is supposed to be equal to 6, as we can see this one. So K was supposed to be 6, meaning to say our answer there was supposed to be a B, or you can use the square root concept. Remember, when you're giving a square, you can introduce a square root. So to remove the square, so K is the square root of 36, which is a 6. That's another way that you could have obtained the same answer. All right, then number 1.3, you are given solve for x if 3 to the exponent of x is equal to 81. Again, we are back to the same situation like what we used before. Can we write 81 in the base of 3? Is it possible that 81 can be written in the base of 3? So if you are actually stuck, you are in an exam condition, but at least understand which numbers that can give us the 81. The numbers that can give us, the number that can give us an 81 actually, which is 3, not 2. So we have got 3, 2, all those prime numbers, 2, 3, 5, and so on. But 81, guys, we focus with 3, but it's 3 to the exponent of 1 to obtain 81. This is where your calculator plays a role. If you don't understand, you can just have 3 to the exponent of 2. You see, okay, this is 9. You move on to the exponent of 3. You get 27. To the exponent of a 4, then you see this is 81. So you can see 81 can be written in the base of 3. That's 3 to the exponent of a 4. So this is what it means in that case. In the base of 3, in this base of 3. Again, if the bases are the same, the exponents must be the same. So x is what? X is 4. So in that case, our answer was going to be 4. So just try the numbers 3 to the exponent until you get 81, guys. This is paper 1. You can simply have these answers direct by just even substituting those answers that you are given and see which one will give you the answer. 1.4, a third of y minus 3 equals to 2, to 3. What is the value of y? All right, they're saying a third of y. Remember, of means times. So a third, that's 1/3 times y like this. That's a third of what? Of y. So you can just write it like this, a third y like this. Minus 3, we are supposed to subtract a 3, is equal to 3. So the answer is supposed to be equal to 3. What is it that you have? An equation. You have formed an equation which you are supposed to solve for y. That is why they're asking you for y. So if you don't understand, guys, if let's say you do not understand how to solve, I'm going to show you how to do that. But how were you supposed to solve this? You can take the 3 to the other hand. It becomes a positive. It was a minus, so it will be plus 3. So it means a third of y is equal to 3 plus 3, which is 6. This is a division. Remember from your multiplicative inverse, we talked about this from our equations. How do you remove this? You can divide by 1/3, or you can multiply by 3 both sides. This cancels. 3 times a third gives us 1. So 1 times y, that's y is equal to 6 times 3, which is 18. So the answer was going to be 18, which is on D. So the answer in this case was going to be a D, where we have got 18 in that case here. So like I said, let's say you do not actually understand your equations that much, but this is where we are given the answers. Just substitute the values, because you have got the answers here. Just substitute them. If y is a 0 there, substitute in place of y and see if you're going to get a 3. In place of y, that's a third times 0 minus 3. Use your calculator, you're going to get minus 3, which means this one is wrong. You move on to 2, you do the same thing. A third of 2 minus 3, a third of 9 minus, you're going to see that your answer was going to be on 18. So that is how you can actually get this, because you have got to answer all these. You can even do on all these questions. You can substitute. If x is a 4, you put a 4 here. You see, are you getting 81? You substitute. If x is a 9, are you getting 81? All this part, you can even do that where there is a k squared. You can substitute is a 4 to the power of 2. That is what? 16, meaning you say it's wrong. You move on to b. You put a 6 there. 6 to the power of 2. That's 36. You see, okay, the answer is at what? At number 6, which is B. So these questions, guys, we can just try them like that when it is solving of equations, because the answers are there. So you can take advantage of that. But you must also know how to solve this. Here, it's just a trick that you can use because you are given the answers. Okay? Number 1.5, if x minus 1, x plus 2 is equal to 0, then x is what? Remember, these two brackets, for them to be equal to 0, 1 must be equal to 0. So it means x minus 1 must be equal to 0, or this other bracket of x plus 2 must be equal to 0. So what will be x? Take this minus 1 to the other hand. It will be a plus 1 here. So that's 0 plus 1. So x is 1. Or you take the minus the 2 that side. It becomes a minus 2 this side. So x will be equal to 0 minus 2, which is minus 2. So x can be 1 or minus 2. So where are we having 1 and minus 2 at the same time? 1 or minus 2 here. So our answer was supposed to be a B. All right, let's move on to another one. 1.6, the factors of this are, this is a difference of two squares, guys. 16, it's a perfect square. P squared, 49, it's a square. So the square root, remember the difference of two squares, a squared minus b squared is equal to what? One of the brackets is supposed to add, another one is supposed to subtract, or one subtract, another one add. A minus b, a plus b. These are the square roots. So we know the square root of what? This part, this 16, it's 4. The p squared, it's p. The square root of this 49 is a 7. The square root of q squared is a q. So we need where it's either there's a plus and another bracket is a minus, or one is a minus, another bracket is a minus of these two. So if we check the first one, that's a plus there, a minus. This one is correct. The second one, it's they are positive, it's wrong. All of these ones is positive, positive, so it's wrong. The other one, negative, negative is wrong. They were just given one bracket, is wrong. So the first one was going to be the correct answer, where we have a plus and another one, a minus, or a minus and a plus. So it can start with a minus, then a plus, or a plus and a minus, as long one is a plus, another one is a minus. Then let's check 1.7. A polygon can be defined as what? How do you define a polygon? A closed three-dimensional shape with straight lines. It is just supposed to be a closed figure that you consider. A closed plain figure with straight lines. This is what we do understand. So answer there was supposed to be C. 1.8, what is the total surface area? This is a cube. A cube. All right, this part actually supposed to be term 3 according to the change of the syllabus. You are supposed to have this in your term 4. It's supposed to be term 4, where you work with part of the measurement, where you're going to talk of these volumes, areas, this and that. So just for the revision sake, for a cube, because all the faces that you see there are the same, it follows that the total surface area is given by 6 times side squared. 6 times the area of one side. So it's 6 times one side, it's 5 centimeters. So that's 5 squared. This is 5 squared. So it's going to be 6 times 5 squared, which you can just use on your calculator, which is 25 times this, which is going to be 150. So the area, the total surface area was going to be on D. So like I said, it's going to depend with the school that you are from. Maybe they can just use that. If you have covered this in this term, then expect that. But if you have not covered that, then do not expect that because of the change of syllabus. I think, guys, I showed you the ATP for the term 3. So you must work with the topics that we discussed in our term 3 ATP. So that is what you're supposed to be careful with. All right, so let's check another part. There we need to check another part of our question. All right, that's it. So there we were given, that is 16. All right, 16, this and that. Okay, where are the answers here? Let me check. All right, but there we have got the answers. All right, okay, there's another question here that I'm seeing. Okay, because I'm seeing the answers there. So I'm seeing the answers for this one. There's another question here. 1.9, the height of a cube. Again, we are given, guys, a cube. Again, like I said, this one, just expect it if you've covered, but for this one, we are not supposed to expect this one for this term. But anyways, like I said, for a cube, all the sides are the same. So it follows that the volume is given by side to the exponent of 3. So we are given the volume is 64. So that's 64 is equal to side to the exponent of 3. You have formed an equation where you need to solve for S. So can we write 64 as a number to the power of 3? Yes, that is 4 to the exponent of 3, which is equal to side to the exponent of 3. As the exponents are the same, we can say S is equal to 4. So if S is 4, it means the height of this cube, the height, that is the side of the cube, is going to be 4. So our answer in this case was going to be a C. All right, 1.10, we are given the table that we are seeing here shows number of days a certain number of men will take to complete a task. So this is a task. Number of men, 1, 20 hours. 5, they take 4. So as we relate in terms of the task, if you are dealing with, let's say, time, the more number, the lesser time taken. If you are 1, as you can see, it's more time taken. There are 5, the time becomes less. So on your proportion, you must consider that. You're asked to calculate or to find the value of X here. You can use a proportion, guys, anything. When it is 1, it corresponds to what? When it is 1, it corresponds to 20. This is what you're given. When it is 1, it takes 20 hours. If they are 10 men, how many hours are they going to take? Guys, this is supposed to be less than the more number of people, the lesser time taken. So if it is less, it's going to be 1/10 times what? Times 20. and that was going to be 2. So meaning to say answer was going to be 2 hours. You can use any proportion, guys. You can use any of these. You can even use this one. 5 men, they take 4 hours. 5, they take 4 hours. So what if they're 10? They are going to take less hours. So it's going to be 5 over 10 because it's less. 5 is supposed to be on top times what? Times 4 hours. So that's it. So you're going to obtain 2 hours if you multiply 1 over 2. 2 into 4, that's a 2. So that will be 2 hours still. And you can even use this, guys, whatever that you want. Just prove with any other part that you want. Then number 2, 27 marks. You are given factorize fully on this 2.11. Okay, we are given 2x squared minus 162. The golden rule, is there anything common between these two? Is there anything common between these two? Yes, 2 is common there. So you're given 2x squared minus 162. 2 is the highest common factor. We can factor it out. Let's divide. 2x squared divided to 2. You remain with x squared minus 162 divided by 2. You are going to obtain 81. What is it that you are seeing here? What is it? And it's a special expression, this one. It's a special expression. What is it? That's a difference of 2 squares. So we have a difference of 2 squares. Remember what I said before about this part of a squared minus b squared giving us a minus b into a plus b. This is a perfect square. This is a perfect square, which we can obtain by just having 2 brackets. The square root of x squared, which is x. What is the square root of 81? That's a 9. So 1 subtracts, another one is going to add. Or 1 is going to add, another one is going to subtract. You are done. So that's 3 marks for that. Factorize again, we are given this one, x squared minus 16x plus 64. So there, guys, we just need 2 brackets to consider since this is 1. So we know that this will be x and this will be x. So that x times x gives us what? 1x squared. So how do you factorize? Remember, you focus with 64, the constant. You have to find the products or 2 factors which you multiply, you get 64. But when you add these products, they must give you negative 16. 2 numbers, guys. Let's think of 2 numbers. You multiply these 2 numbers, you get 64. There are so many numbers. You might think of 8 and 8. 8 times 8, it's 64. But if you add 8 plus 8, it's 16, not minus 16. So how can we get a minus 16? It must be negative 8, negative 8. So that if you multiply, it gives you positive 64. If you add, you get a negative 16. So these factors were going to be minus 8, minus 8. So it's a trial and error. You try this one, it fails, you move on to another one. It's a trial and error. 2.2, simplify the following. What is it that you're supposed to simplify? Expand the brackets. You're given a bracket, so you have to multiply. So 4x multiplies 3x squared. So that's 4 times 3, which is 12. X and x squared, the bases are the same. So you add the exponents, 1 plus 2. That's x cubed. Remember your exponents. 4 times minus 9, that is minus 36. X times x is what? That's x squared. When you distribute throughout, you multiply here. 4 times 5, that is 60. But there is x there. So it's going to be 60x. Just like that. So you have to distribute each term by what is outside of the bracket. For 3 marks, guys. 2.22, simplify again. What is it that you're supposed to simplify in this case for 4 marks? You can divide each and every term because we are given 2x as a single term. This one is a single term. So each term must be divided by that single term. 6x to the exponent of 3, you divide it by that single term of 2x minus 8x to the exponent of 2, you divide by that single term of 2x. You do the same, this 2x, each and every term. So it's plus 2x over 2x plus a 10 over the 2x. Each and every term is divided to this. So we can simplify. 2 into 6. 6 divided by 2, that's 3. X into x to the exponent of 3. How many times? How many are they? They are 3. So this one into these ones, which are 3, how many will remain? Will remain with the 2. There are 3 like this. X times x times x. You divide by only one x. You remain with 2x. So those 2x's that are remaining, it's x squared. 2x's, not 2x, but 2x's, there are 2x's that are multiplied. Or simply subtract exponents, 3 minus 1, which is 2, okay? Minus 2 into 8, that is 4. X into x squared, we're going to remain with 1x. The x and the x cancels. The 2 and the 2 cancels. That was going to give us a 1. 2 into 10, that's a 5. So it's going to be 5, but there is an x in the denominator that is remaining. So it will be 5 over x. Just like that. So you have to divide each and every given term. Number 2.23 for 6 marks. You're asked to simplify again. What is that you're supposed to do? So there we are given, there's a bracket raised to the power of 2. So you have to expand the brackets, remove the brackets, clear out the brackets, and collect all the like terms. So since we are given 2 brackets here, it means there is a bracket of x plus 3 multiplying another bracket of x plus 3. There are 2 of them, x squared. Okay? Plus 4 into the bracket, there is x minus 3 into the bracket of x plus 5, like this. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to distribute, expand one bracket from our FOIL method. So you can just leave the 2 outside from the first bracket. Then considering this, let's take it this way. So this is what we have. So we need to focus now with this bracket. Everything in this bracket must multiply the second bracket. That is from your FOIL method. X multiplies everything. So it's x times x here, which is x squared. Okay, so it's going to be x squared. X again multiplies the other term outside, which is 3. So that's x times 3, which is 3x. You are done with x. You move on to the next term number, which is 3, plus 3. So let's multiply 3 times x. That is 3x. You add. You move on. On the same 3, you multiply to the last term, outer term there, outer part, the last part. So it's 3 times 3, which is what? Which is 9. So we are done. But why am I opening this bracket and also close it? Because there is a 2 outside, which is supposed to multiply also everything that you're going to have here. So you must open that bracket. You do the same thing on this 4 here. It is outside of this bracket, so just write as it is plus 4. But this bracket, the first one, distribute it. Use your FOIL method to expand the second bracket using the first one. So just like what we have done in the first term, with the first bracket, x was going to multiply x, which was going to give us x squared. We move on, x and this 5. So that's x times 5, which is 5x. You are done with x. It has multiplied everything in the second bracket. You move on to minus 3. The number and the sign, there's a minus there. So it's minus 3 times x, which is minus 3x. Minus 3 multiplies the 5, it's minus 15. Okay, this is what we have. So we can move on. We can choose to expand these brackets, which is fine, by the numbers outside. Or we can choose to simplify first what is inside of this bracket so that we do not work with many things. We can choose to collect the like terms inside of these brackets. We have got like terms here, 3x and 3x. So that will be x squared plus 3, which is 6x plus 9, plus a 4 into this bracket. There is 5x here minus 3x. So 5 minus 3, which is 2. So that's x squared plus 2x minus 15. Now you can get rid of these by expanding by the number outside the first bracket. You multiply it by 2. The second bracket, as you can see, it is affected by +4. You distribute by these numbers outside of the bracket. So that's 2 times x squared. 2 multiplies everything. Everything is multiplied by 2. So that will be 2x squared. 2 multiplies the 6x, that's 12x. 2 multiplies the 9, that's plus 18. It multiplies everything. You do the same thing on this 4. It multiplies everything in this bracket. So that's 4 times x squared, which is 4x squared. 4 times 2, which is 8x. 4 times minus 15, which is minus 60. Then collect the like terms. After doing this, you have the like terms, the 2x squared and the 4x squared. These are like terms. Add them together. The 12x here is a like term to the 8x. Add these together. The constants, 18 and the minus 60. You have to consider this on their own. So that's it. So let's take the part of x squared. So it's 2x squared and 4x squared. This will be 2 plus 4, which is 6x squared. Then the part of x here, 12 plus 8, that is 20. So that was going to be 20x. The constants, 18 and minus 60. 18 minus 60, that's minus 42. So that's it. You're done. At this stage, you can leave it like that. So for 6 marks, guys, it was actually fine to have this. Then on 2.24, you're asked to simplify this. So as we can see, guys, you can simply factorize. All right, let's start with the 4x squared minus 1. That's a difference of 2 squares. 4 is a perfect square. So the square root, we're just going to need 2 brackets there. Square root of 4, which is 2. X squared, which is x. Minus the square root of 1, which is 1. Remember, 1 is supposed to subtract, another one is supposed to add. Difference of 2 squares. Then you need to factorize the remaining part, which is in the denominator. What are we having? We are having 4x squared plus 4x plus 1, this part here. Factorize it. So it's going to depend with your normal factors, the one that you understand. Guys, on this one, it's going to depend because the coefficient of x squared is no longer a 1. So remember, let me just use this one that is the basic one. Then with any other special method that you have been taught, use that. But here I'm just going to use the basic that we all can understand. Remember, you have to multiply the first term and last term. If this one is no longer 1, you multiply the first term to the last term. So it's 4x squared times 1. You get 4x squared. You must now consider this 4x squared. What are the products of 4x squared? But these products must add up to 4x, the middle term. The products, 2 products. You multiply 2 terms, you get 4x squared. But when you add them, you must get 4x. Which one do you think about? 2 and what? 2 and 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. If you add 2 plus 2, that's a 4 again. So these are the ones that we want. We take them, substitute into that middle term, this one. So it must be 4x squared. You put them back into this middle term. Those 2 products that you said, they will give you that middle term. So you add them as they are. 2x plus 2x plus 1. All right, so let's factorize. By grouping into 2, we can see that there we have got what is common, the highest common factor, which is 2x. So we can factor out 2x. Let's divide 4x squared and 2x. That's 2x plus 2x and 2x, that's a 1. It cancels. It's 2x over 2x like this. So it was going to cancel and give us a 1. So remember, you need to have the same bracket of 2x plus 1 from what is remaining. What is remaining here, it's already 2x plus, as you can see this one, it's already 2x plus 1. So meaning to say you must factor out a +1 so that it remains as it is. It does not change because you need these two brackets to be the same. And as we can see, the brackets are the same. So you're going to take this bracket as it is, you factor it out. So it was going to be 2x plus 1 into another bracket of 2x plus 1, which is remaining 2x here and this plus 1. So like I said, guys, to factorize this, there are so many ways that you can do. Those are now special methods that you can do. Like you can opt for another way. Maybe you've been taught to factorize this in another way. Use that. But from the normal basics that you need, that is what you are supposed to have. Then with any other, this is mathematics, guys. Methods can be there. So I'm going to also have class where we talk about different methods. Then you choose from there. All right. Anyways, let's divide. Since we are dividing, are there any brackets that are common? Yes, the 2x plus 1 is common to this 2x plus 1. So they can cancel. That's remaining on top with 2x minus 1 in the denominator with the 2x plus 1 like this. So these cannot be canceled. Never be tempted to cancel these because they are different. They are separated by different signs. It's an expression on top, another expression below. So it cannot cancel. But if it is a term or when it is a bracket like that, you can, maybe it was just 2x. This is what I'm trying to say. Maybe it was just 2x over 3x like this. You can cancel because this is a term. But for an expression like this, you cannot. They are separate unless they are the same, like is 2x minus 1 over 2x minus 1. You cannot say for expressions, I cannot cancel. You can cancel because this is exactly the same, like what we saw here. So these ones cannot be canceled. You leave your answer like that. All right, let's move on to 2.3, which is 4 marks on this question. Calculate the value of this whole expression if A is B. You just have to substitute, guys. So this is A, B, C, meaning to say A times B, that's A, B, C. A is what? Minus 2. Then B is 3. C is minus 2. A, B is meaning to say A times B times C. You can put brackets. Minus, there's a minus there. So you're going to subtract A to the exponent of 3. That is A, which is minus 2, raised to the exponent of 3. Plus B squared. So that's plus a B, which is 3, but raised to the power of 2. That's 3 squared. Minus a C. That's minus our C, which is a 2 like this. So this is what you were supposed to actually have. So simplifying this part alone, it was going to give us a negative 12. You can just use your calculator, it's fine. Simplifying this part alone, it was going to be a negative 8, but there's a negative outside, so it was going to be plus 8 at the end. Negative, negative. Okay, let me just write the way that it was supposed to be, guys. There is a minus on the formula, but this was going to give you a minus 8, okay? Plus 3 squared, which is 9, minus 2, like that. So meaning to say at the end, this was going to give us a 3. That was going to be a plus, which is minus 12 plus 3, which is minus 4. Then you get a 5, 5 minus 2, which is a 3. You could just use a calculator there. So that is it, guys, for 4 marks. This is actually enough for you to write it that way. All right, so that was your question 2.3. Then if we check on question number 3, which is 17 marks, solve the equations. We are now on equations. So this equation, it's a quadratic. We have got the highest exponent of 2. But we can just simply factorize this. Remember, from the zero product, the product of two numbers, to give us a 0, one of these must be equal to 0. So for this to be possible, factorize. So by factorization, you can factor out x, which is common. That will be x squared and x, that's x. Minus 3x divided by x, that will be minus 3. Remember your factorization, guys, you divide x squared by x, that is going to be x. Minus 3x divided by x. So this will give you a minus 3. So it will be x minus 3. So this whole part is equal to a 0. Remember from that question that we answered from our multiple choice, we said for this to be equal to 0, one of these must be. So it means it's either x is supposed to be equal to 0 or the remaining part, which is this one, the remaining part of x minus 3 must be equal to 0. So we have got already solved for x, this one. But here we need to solve. Minus 3 to the other side, it becomes a positive the moment it crosses the equal sign. So x was going to be 0 plus 3, which is 3. So these are the two values of x. X can be equal to 0 or x can be equal to 3. 3.2, again, solve this equation. Remember, we referred back from the previous question where we had a bracket raised to the power of 2. We say these are simply two brackets being multiplied. But this is equal to x plus 5. So as you can see, there are two brackets there. Let's expand and see what are we going to obtain so that we can even tell the type of equation that we are having at the end. Our FOIL method again, expand, one bracket multiplies the other. So meaning say the bracket of x minus 1 is going to affect the second bracket. So let's multiply. X times x, that will be x squared. We move on, x multiplies the minus 1, that's minus x. We are done. Minus 1 times x, minus x minus 1 times minus 1, that's a plus 1, which is equal to x plus 5. As we can see, we can simplify the left-hand side because we've got like terms there, the minus x and the minus x part. So you can collect your like terms before you transpose or before you take these other terms, this other side, just collect your like terms. That's negative 1, negative 1. So minus 1, that's minus 2x plus 1, which is supposed to be equal to x plus 5. So this is a quadratic equation because the highest exponent there that we see is a 2. And remember the format of a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c must be equal to 0. So one of the sides must be equal to 0. So we are supposed to transpose, take these to the other side, x to the other side, it becomes a minus. 5 to the other side, they are supposed to go to this side so that one side remains with nothing, with a 0. So that was going to be x squared minus 2x. The moment we take this x here, it will be minus x. Or you can just write as it is, guys. If you don't understand, just write this one, finish as it is, this one. Then take these ones now to the other side. X, this side, it becomes what? Minus x. 5, this side becomes what? Minus 5. This is now equal to 0. We have removed these ones. We are now back to the like terms, just like what we saw before. Why? Because we've got the x here, which is common. The minus 2x and the minus x. We also have the numbers here, the constants, 1 and the minus 5. So let's collect these like terms first. Okay? So that will be x squared minus 2 minus x. It means minus 2 minus 1. That will be minus 3x. Okay? So there we're going to have minus 3x, 1 minus 5. That is a minus 4. This is equal to 0. So they are simply testing you guys. Are you seeing these in your simplification that you can expand the brackets first before having a normal quadratic like what you were given before here where you can apply your factorization? As we can see now at this stage, we can use our factorization method since the highest exponent there is a 2. Remember our factorization method, you're supposed to have what? 2 brackets equal to 0. So since here we've got a 1, so we simply have x and x in each bracket. So this will be x and this will be x, so that we get a 1. What are the factors, the products, just like the previous case, guys? Remember I said you need what? The products of minus 4. But these products must add up to negative 3. 2 numbers. You multiply 2 numbers, you get minus 4. So it means one of these numbers must be a negative. One of these numbers must be a negative. so that we get a negative 4. But if we add, we must get a negative 3. So if we add minus 4 plus a 3 plus a 1, that's a minus 3. 4 plus minus 1, that's a 3. So the one that gives us a negative 3 is the 4 and the 1. If you add this, you get a negative 3. So this must be negative 4, and this must be a plus 1. So that's it. So remember from your 0 concept, one of these brackets to be equal to 0, it means x minus 4 is supposed to be equal to 0, or x plus 1 is supposed to be equal. We talked about that. So you take this to the other hand, guys, it will be 0 plus 4. So x was going to be a 4. Or if you take this 1 to the other side, it was going to be a minus. So it's 0 minus 1, meaning to say x was going to be a minus 1. So you can actually solve it that way at the end. One of these brackets must be equal to a 0. So that is what they wanted. Expand the brackets. After expanding the bracket, form a normal quadratic equation that you are used to, then solve it by factorization method. Again, solve for x. 2 over 3, that's 2 over x, sorry, that's 2 over x plus 3 is equal to minus 1, where x is not equal to 0. So we can solve this equation in different ways. There's a fraction, so remove the fraction. This is the same as over 1. Here, this is the same as over 1. This is the same as over 1. So you can simply remove the fraction by multiplying each and every term by what? By x. This is x here. You multiply this by x, you multiply this by x. So x and x was going to cancel. That we have got 1. 1 times 2, which is 2, plus 3 times x, which is 3x, is equal to minus 1 times x, which is minus x. Collect the like terms. So it means 2 is equal to, I take the 3x to the other side of the equation. It will be a plus there. So it is going to be a plus 3x. Sorry, it was a minus here. Sorry. It was a plus this side. So the moment it jumps that, it will be a minus. So it's minus 3x. So that means we have got minus 1 minus 3x, which is minus 4x. Then we can divide by negative 4 from the multiplicative inverse. Our x was going to be minus 1 over 2. Guys, you can simply divide by what? By 2. That's minus half, or use your calculator. So x is a minus half. Minus 1 over 2. The length of a rectangle is 6 centimeters more than its width. More than its width. A rectangle, we have the width. We have got the length. So they are saying the length is 6 centimeters more than the width. So let the width be equal to x. If the width represents x, therefore, the length, since it is 6 more, it means add 6 plus x. It's more. So that's 6 plus x, which is same as what? As x plus 6, as the length. If the width is x, the length will be x plus 6. The area of the rectangle is 216. The area is 216 square centimeters. What are the dimensions of this rectangle? What are the dimensions? What is your width and what is your length? Since we said let the width be equal to x, the length is now x plus 6. So in order for us to have these dimensions, it is simply to solve for x. We must solve for x, but how can we find x? That's the question. How can we find x? It's a word problem, this one. In order for us to find x, we must use the given information to form an equation that because we need to solve for x. So we must have an equation. So we are going to form an equation from what we are given. What are we given? Area. Area of a rectangle, length times width. So if the area is taken from length times width, and we are given that the area is 216 and the length is given as x plus 6, and the width is given as x, it means these two are equal. That's you formed an equation. By forming an equation, you are supposed to solve. The left-hand side and the right-hand side are the same, guys. We can take this and write it this side, x into x plus 6 is equal to 216. This is the same. It's just like 2 times 1. 1 times 2 is the same. A is equal to B. B is equal to A is one and the same thing also. So this is what I just used in this case here. You can simply take this other hand. So that we expand the brackets now, distribute x and x, that's x squared. X and 6, that's 6x, which is equal to 216. You have formed a quadratic equation. As you can see, the highest exponent is 2. So remember, on a quadratic equation, one of the sides is equal to 0. So take this to the other hand, it becomes a minus there. So it will be x squared plus 6x minus 216, which is equal to 0. We formed a quadratic equation that you can factorize this. Since the highest exponent, the coefficient there of x squared is 1, you're going to have x here and you have x here. Remember what I said? The factors of the constant minus 216 are these factors must add up to positive 6. Do we have products, factors, two numbers? You multiply these two numbers, you obtain minus 216. But if you add, so it's a trial and error, guys. Try as many numbers as you can, but you're going to see that it was going to be one of the numbers must be negative. One of the numbers must be positive for us to get a negative 216. But if we add, we are supposed to obtain, there's supposed to be 12 here. Sorry, I'm not getting that. This is 12, like 12 here. If you add, you must get 6. So if you add these two, you're going to get minus 6. But if you add these two, you're going to get a positive 6. So these are the factors that I wanted you to use, the 18 and the minus 12. So it must be plus 18 here, minus 12, which is equal to 0. Guys, we saw this from previous equation that one of these brackets is supposed to be equal to what? To be equal to 0. If it is like this, one of these must be equal to 0. So take this to the other hand, it becomes a minus. 0 minus 18, that's minus 18, or x was going to be, this to the other side, it is going to be a positive, that's a 12. So we know that we are talking of the length and the width, so it cannot be a negative, but we can see from these numbers, we can conclude that the numbers that we are talking about is 12 or 18. So if we use 12 as the one that we have, since this is the one that is positive, this one, 12, which is positive, we must conclude now that's the smallest value that we have. And on the dimensions of a rectangle, the smallest dimension is the width. So it means, therefore, the width is to be taken as the smallest answer that we got here, which is 12. So that is the one that you use for the width, which is what? 12. So the width was 12 centimeters. So if the width is 12 centimeters, what about the length? The length is x plus what? X plus 6. So if you take this 12, you're going to see that it's x plus 12 plus 6, which is 18. That is the 18 that we had there. Only that it was a negative. As you are to work this, yes, it's an equation. It gives you a negative, but you know that length cannot be negative. Length is positive. Width is positive. As long as you're talking of dimensions, dimensions are taken as what? As positive. You do not use dimensions that are negative in the simplification. As long you are working with your dimensions, they are supposed to be positive. You're supposed to work with positive values. All right, let's check the other parts that we are given. Let's see. Let's see the other part here. What we have. All right, so if we check number 4, you're given, that is now to our graphs, we're given complete the following table for x and y values for the equation y is equal to x squared minus 1. Where we are given in that case, all right, so we just have to complete. We are given the x values, just put them into this equation. Y is equal to, in place of x, that's minus 3 to the exponent of 2 minus 1. So that's minus 3 squared, guys, which is 9 minus 1. And that was going to give us 8. You do the same thing when this x is -1. In place of this, you're going to have -1 squared minus 1. So it was going to be 1 minus 1, which is a 0 there. Just use your calculator also. You do the same thing. If this x is a 0 there, that means y is going to be in place of x. That's 0 squared minus 1. That will be 0 minus 1, which is -1. Then on this part, we are given the value of y in that case. So it's like this. Y is the one that we are given, which is 0. So 0 is equal to, there we are given x squared minus 1. You must find x here. So what will be the value of x? Take the -1 this side. It's going to be a +1. That's 0 plus 1, which is equal to x squared. So what will be the value of x? Which number that you can use raised to the power of 2? That's 1 is 1 to the power of 2 again. So mean you say x is 1. Or you can use the square root. Remember, there's a square. This one. Introduce the square root like this. So x will be the square root of 1, which is 1. So x was going to be a 1. You move on when this y this time, because we are given there, y is the one that is given this time, which is 8. So you put it where the y is. So 8 is equal to x squared minus 1. The -1 to the other side, that's a plus. So it's 8 plus 1 is equal to x squared. 9 is equal to x squared. How can we solve for x? 9 is same as 3 squared. That's x squared. So when you say x is what? X is 3. Or you can introduce the square root. So that's it, guys. Given this equation on question number 4.2 about the straight line, there's a linear function. As you can see, the highest exponent that we have there, it's a 1. 2x minus 3y is equal to 9. Determine the following, the gradient. So from the linear equation, we do understand that if we write it in the form of y is equal to mx plus c, m is the gradient. So we need to make y the subject. So we are given 2x minus 3y is equal to 9. Let's solve for y. We have to solve for y. So we can take the 2x to the other side. It jumps the equal sign, becomes a negative. Minus 3y is equal to minus 2x. It was a positive, so it will be minus. There's a plus 9 there. We want to have y is equal. What is disturbing y this time? It's the -3. You remove that by dividing, since it's a product, divide by -3 by -3. That's y in that case. So y is equal to, this will be 2 over 3. So that's 2 over 3x, 9 into -3, or 9 divided by -3, that's a -3. So what we need is this part here, the m, this one. The one that is multiplying x, the number that is multiplying x here is our gradient. So therefore, our gradient is simply what? The 2 over 3, the number that is multiplying, as long it is in this format. So that's it. Then the other question, they want you to determine or to calculate the x-intercept of the equation. So remember, the x-intercept, it's on a condition where y is equal to 0. So if y is equal to 0, you can take the original equation as it was before. It's up to you. 2x minus 3y is equal to 9. You solve, or you can start from it's up to you guys. But what is important is that y is supposed to be equal to a 0 for the x-intercept. So meaning to say we are going to be left with 2x being equal to 9. Solve for x, because this one is a 0 there. So there's no effect of a 0. There's nothing there. So divide by 2, it means our x was going to be 9 over 2 or 4,5. Just like that. So you have got your x-intercept. 4.23, the y-intercept of the equation. So the y-intercept, x must be equal to what? X must be equal to 0 this time. So in this equation, 2x minus 3y is equal to 9. If x is a 0, this one is 2 times, that's a 0. So you'll be left with this part, minus 3y, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 9. Divide by -3, both sides. So y was going to give us 9 divided by -3, which is -3. So that is what you're supposed to have from there. Then you can draw your graph, this and that. If it is to draw this graph, let's say the question further gives us to draw the graph what you need, remember I talked about the issue of the double intercept or the dual intercept, where you just need to mark the points that you have. X at 4,5, you mark it in the positive where it's going to be at 4,5. The Y, you mark it where it's going to be a -3. These two, they are enough for you to have a straight line. You now have your straight line. So that is what you need, guys. You just have to work with more questions as much as you can. And as you can see from this question paper, we're not having those 2D shapes and also the geometry of straight lines. Like I said, guys, this is a previous paper that is being taken from those it was 2019. So we just take one or two things that we expect, which are still part of our term 3. So the other part, we have to consider the geometry of straight lines and also the geometry of our 2D shapes. So if we have got a recent question paper that has got those, we shall work on it. For now, this is what we have, guys. We can just work with what we have. In this case, I just took the questions that we can answer according to what we have done in this term. So this is what you had, guys, from Maths Zone African Motives. Till we meet again.